One more.
Thank you, Shocks. Definitely a game that SKT will be happy with taking the win for. Probably not fully satisfied until they take the finals, though, I have to bet. I want to talk about, though, what both of these teams were willing to show this game, starting with the champions that they brought out. We saw the Jarvan on one side, as well as the Renekton and the Ryze, and a Braum that Wolf hasn't had so much success on in the past.
No, he hasn't. He's actually 0-4 prior to this game. It's a champion that we really haven't seen Wolf play very much in the past, and he certainly hasn't had any success on it. I have been looking at solo queue for Marin for a long time. It's no secret. He's been spamming a lot of Renekton. It's his most played champion of all time, and I'm just happy. He's always been a great Renekton player. I love seeing him rock out with his croc out.
That top lane matchup was just so one-sided, and you know, the thing about these juggernauts is that they're all melee, so things like Renekton that are normally kiteable against all this range is just going to see so much more prevalence, and that's why I really like the Ryze pickup. His Rune Prism is 600 range, outranges everything on the map this game. There's no Jinx, there's no Caitlyn to be able to chunk him out before he even gets into the fight. He's just able to wander up to people, CC them, and then put out so much damage.
Yeah, and the point-and-click Rune Prism is especially effective against Kalista and Echo, so we saw a lot of counter-picking here from SKT. They got to counter-pick AD carry and lane if they wanted to. They didn't actually go for that, though, Sivir into Kalista, but they picked Ryze to deal with Kalista, and then they picked Renekton to deal with the top lane, Darius. So they showed two things here that I thought was actually a little bit of a bait there from EDG, because they picked the Darius early, and they could have hit either their top or their mid lane, and they chose not to.
Yeah, is that bravado by them to have picked both their solo lanes?
I can't be in their head. It could be bravado. It could be them being like, this is a group stage match. We're probably going to 4-2 this group, maybe go 5-1 and then have a tiebreaker. But they might be just be getting information out of SKT.
And I kind of agree with Zyrene here, because if we look at their bans in particular, Alistair, okay, we know Wolf plays that all the time. The Elise has been a heavy priority for SK Telecom. And the Azir, curiously, SKT not really likely to pick that Azir on red side, since they're going to be looking for a mid counter pick for Faker. So they really are just trying to test the water here against SKT. And if we look at MSI, they lost the group stage game very convincingly versus SKT. But when it came to that best of 5, EDG looked a little bit more adaptable, like they slowly got the information they needed out, and then they were able to open up this LeBlanc trap, right? So maybe they're doing the same thing again.
And that's the best thing about this matchup. It's as much about what's happening behind the scene with Aaron and Coma as it is on Summoner's Rift. It's getting really exciting right now, because we have this rivalry of probably the two best coaches from different regions coming head-to-head and setting their teams up for what they see as success.
Now, I want to jump into the game with these given picks. We saw the lane swap initiated by SKT, and as a result, Amazing J on the other side of the map fell disastrously far behind against Marin.
Yeah, Marin got the turret experience, they got the wave appropriately, and then Amazing J was starved a bit, and then they put him in the long lane with no turret, no safety, so he had to go up against this Renekton, slight counter pick there, and had to be in a lane that he's always threatened by Bengi, so he got kind of shafted there.
Well, a quick way to lose against SKT is to allow them to counterpick both solo lanes. I don't think we're going to see that so much in the draft in the future from EDG or from other teams. But if you look at what EDG was trying to do, it did make sense, right? So they were going for the quick dragon. Okay, it sets Darius behind a little bit, but we're looking at champions such as Sivir, who started with that Avarice Blade, the Ryze, which needs a lot of time to scale. So the problem was when they ganked the mid lane and killed Faker, they blew 2 ults, Annie ult, Jarvan ult, to get him. And then when the ensuing team fight came, even though they needed scaling, they didn't have the cooldowns to do it. Now, I would have actually rather have seen EDG not try to kill Ryze right there, just go for the dragon, save those ultimates. I think they win that fight.
Well, so the dragon fight comes through, immediately following this. This was kind of that moment where the huge gold swing came through. As a result, gave SKT the advantages further throughout the game.
Yeah, and like Monty was saying, no Cataclysm, no Tibbers. Tibbers is actually still up during this fight, but of course no stun initially. Wolf does have a really good ultimate here, but they weren't respecting their lack of cooldowns on EDG's side, and they weren't also respecting the teleport. It is so early in the game that Faker just comes back to this fight, no problem. So it was a big oversight there by EDG, and both these teams, I understand the idea. They're not built for sieging, they're built for team fighting, they're built for going for objectives, but it just wasn't the right time relative to their cooldowns to actually go for it.
Yeah, that's why I say don't gank Faker with all those ultimates. Either try to get some damage on him, force him to recall. Don't commit like that. Save the ults for the Dragon, because that's EDG's big hope. They already committed to this idea. They committed to losing the top lane in order to get 5 Dragon stacks.
Final thoughts?
And beyond that, just target prioritization. That team fight was so different between the two teams. One team, beautifully executed from SKT. EDG were just smacking a brawn for way too long.
It was so close of a fight, too. If they had those ultimates, could have been very different.
All right, well, some stuff has been shown, but I'm sure they still have a lot left in the tank between these two teams. Our coverage continues in just a few minutes with Europe's own H2K facing off against the Bangkok Titans. We'll be right back, so don't touch that browser.
It's going to be an amazing one. It's China's Edward Gaming versus South Korea's SK Telecom T1. That's a trade kill back in pawn. Now stuck on top of the Dragon. Faker gets his first kill of the game and then still trades back and forth, but EDG are routed. Finds Clearlove and a ton of damage right away. They're trying to burst him back out, but Faker's totally safe. Clearlove running away as fast as he can. Faker not getting attacked. Big shields, but he's going to go down. Deft is still alive in the background, and Bangy's going to be next. Faker picks up the kill. Mako's next easily. And there's really not much that Amazing Jay's going to do on this one. Pom Pop's yielding for a bit of damage. Zonya's to buy some time. SKT, undaunted, take down Edward Gaming.